Denji and Power are the best anime duo of all time. That's not really up for debate. Not if you've seen them on screen yourself. You can argue, I guess, but if you've watched the first season of Chainsaw Man, you know what you saw. Two gremlins. They're not saving the world, they're barely saving themselves. Half the time, they don't even know what they're fighting, only that it owes them something, and that's the beauty of it. You could call their friendship dysfunctional, but that implies something's broken, and you can't break what was never whole to begin with. When you think of most male-female anime duos, there's usually some kind of cliche romantic tension between them. Y'all know how it goes. Bickering back and forth but low-key liking each other, accidentally making physical contact while their faces turn red, the clueless romantic and the obvious admirer. We've all seen it a million times. Denji and Power operate on an entirely different frequency. Their relationship is unorthodox, to say the least. There's zero romance, no slow burn affection, just two unhinged freaks of nature crashing into each other's lives. And somehow, that chaos works.
Since you find the prospect of groping breasts intriguing, I'll let you touch mine as a reward for saving Meowie.
Power, a fiend who harbors little empathy for humans, sees Denji as a tool to achieve her goals. I mean, let's not forget how she literally tricked him into saving her cat, only to serve him up as devil food without so much as a second thought. No hesitation, just, oh yeah, this dude can die for Meowie. The crazy part is, that's just how Power operates. There was no deep-rooted hatred toward Denji. She just didn't care. In her mind, her cat was worth more than his entire existence, and she didn't blink twice about it. What makes this moment stand out is not just the absurdity of the deal, but Denji's reaction afterward. He still chooses to save her. His forgiveness seems to stem from his simplistic worldview and an innate understanding that Power, much like him, is just doing whatever she can to survive. Also, so that he can touch some chest, but I mean, you know, who wouldn't risk their life for a cat and some potential second base, right? I think even if we ignored the relationship that is Denji and Power, one of the most redeeming qualities that they have is literally their aesthetic dominance throughout the show.
Human! Supply prey for me, post-haste!
The best visual chemistry I've seen in a show in so long. Like, there is not many duos that can confidently rely on their aesthetics as one of their redeeming qualities. I think the only duo I can, say is an honorable mention is Gon and Killua, because I ain't gonna lie, bro, Killua was carrying. He was the freshest character in the show, but aside from that, you take someone like Denji. That brother got electrocuted and then had to run to a job interview afterwards. And then he got shark teeth for some reason, right? That's never, that's just normal. And then you have Power, bro. Power, I don't even know what her morning routine is. I think she literally just runs through her closet with the lights off as well. There's no way she has the lights on when she puts on her clothes. I don't even know if she knows how to wear a jacket. It's always halfway on, like, are you hot or are you cold? Like, what are we doing here? Despite the fact that they have a disgruntled appearance, to say the least, these two look so complementary to each other. I think something that Chainsaw Man does so well, something I think a lot of animes tend to miss, humans are drawn to things that break patterns. These two disrupt the visual flow of every scene they're in. You throw them into a room with professional devil hunters, your Makimas, your Akis. Your eyes cannot help but be drawn to these two characters. Most of the duos you can think of need something like chemistry or emotional depth or contrasting personalities to really build that relationship and that appeal that they have for the viewers. I think that explains why every time you see either Power or Denji on the screen, they are consistently ready for a photo op every single time. It's like they really just be posing for an invisible camera that they don't know is there. There's no such thing as candid pictures with Denji and Power. They look good in every shot they're in. I think Mappa was literally telling these animators every scene that these two are in, make it an album cover every single time. They weren't even trying to be cool, but somehow they were cool. When you look at the heart of Denji and Power's bond, I think initially, off of first glance, it looks like it's superficial and it's chaotic and there's no real rhyme or reason to it. But the deeper you dig, the more you uncover that there's this emotional core that I think significantly shapes their relationship as the story progresses. It sort of becomes clear that Denji and Power need each other in ways that I don't even think they realize themselves. And that makes for a dynamic that elevates the emotional stakes of the whole series. At their core, Denji and Power are like two broken souls that are searching for connection. When Denji is first introduced in the series, we see a world that is marked by devil hunting, immense loss, and his upbringing is plagued by nothing but poverty and abuse. Denji's aspirations are modest, seemingly simple desires, like extremely simple desires. And I mean so simple, you can probably write them on a sticky note. Food, sleep, and boobs. That's a pretty solid list if you ask me. But in the same breath, they're deeply human. He longs for companionship, and this is especially noticeable when you see how quickly he's willing to latch on to Makima after receiving even the slightest bit of kindness from her. What's funny is, I don't think his simplicity is a flaw per se. I think it's just his survival mechanism. Because if he were any more complex, that man would be fried. I'm not gonna lie, Denji has like 2 brain cells, and between the 2 of them, one of them is being occupied by Power. So he really only has 1 brain cell. And I don't think he's capable of much complex thought. There's literally a scene of him genuinely trying to think hard, and he just gives up halfway through.
Maybe when I lost my human heart, I also lost my human emotions. No point in taking it so seriously.
In contrast, Power embodies chaos and self-interest. As a fiend, her existence literally revolves around instinct and survival. I think when it was explained in the series, fiends are literally devils that were on their last legs, and as a last-ditch effort, they took over a human corpse. So Power knows nothing but just trying to survive. That's her story, and she has little regard for anybody else, except for when we see her bond with Meowie, her cat. And this sort of shows you a glimpse into her capacity for attachment. It's unexpected. Power despises both humans and devils alike. Her isolation from the world only reinforces her belief that the world is cruel and it's indifferent. But when you see Power and Denji paired together, it almost seems like their relationship is just purely transactional. Denji's motivation seems shallow. I mean, it is shallow. I'm not gonna sit here and act like it's not shallow. But he has this shallow desire for physical intimacy. And as the series progresses, there's a turning point. And this comes when Power witnesses Denji's relentless effort to save Meowie from the Bat Devil. And he has no personal stake in the situation, but he fights anyway. The moment where Power watches Meowie being swallowed whole, I think reveals 2 significant things.
Greetings, Blood Devil. Blood's precisely what I need. Lest you want to end all 9 lives of this cat, bring me a human being.
Earlier you said you'd never pet Pochita again. I sympathize with you now. 'Tis a dreadful feeling.
Power relates to Denji's loss. She recalls when Denji earlier mentioned his pet that he lost, Pochita, and the emptiness he feels without him. In that instant, Power experiences a mirrored sense of loss and finally empathizes with Denji's pain. In the same breath, Denji realizes Power's loneliness. He became acutely aware that throughout the time that he had spent with her, Power hadn't had her cat by her side. He understands the sadness of sleeping alone without the warm presence of someone you care about. There's sort of this mutual sympathy that goes on in that moment, and it not only chips away at Power's emotional walls, but it also expands Denji's perspective beyond his usual simplicity. And that right there is probably one of the most powerful aspects of their relationship. There's this shared trauma. Denji wasn't fighting for justice. It was about priorities. And Denji's priority was petting the cat and to also pet the cats. Both characters have faced betrayal, loss, and violence, and these things define their worldviews. But through the time that they spend together, they kind of find solace in each other's presence. After Denji beats the Bat Devil, Power kept her promise with him. Even though she had no intention in originally fulfilling that promise, she kept her promise. And it's sort of ironic because had she not kept her promise, it would have just been a mirror into the kind of exploitation that Denji has endured his entire life. But slowly you start to see they grow and rely on each other. Power in particular begins to see Denji as a rare constant in her life. Even though they bicker and pull pranks and, share lighthearted moments, I think they provide much needed relief to the story's overall dark narrative. They have a sibling-like bond, and honestly, I feel weird even calling it that because they do non-sibling things, and I don't know if it makes sense to call them siblings. I guess they're siblings from Alabama. I'm sorry, I 100% understand if you click off the video right now. In a series that is filled with violence and existential dread, Denji and Power keep the story grounded, and they offer emotional reprieve. I just learned what that word meant. I just wanted to sound smart, so I used it. Yeah, at the end of the day, you don't always need deep bonds or heartfelt moments. Sometimes all you need is someone who's down to commit war crimes over a cat. And you know which cat I'm talking about, right?
She's an angel.